New podcast, brand new podcast. First one of, I was going to say of July, but technically there'll already be one out. So anyway, new podcast.
Yeah.
As of now, it sounds like our tax season is finished. We did Oklahoma, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, and Montana for a quick blaster. Before we get off to it, please subscribe to the podcast, 5 stars, Apple and Spotify. And this episode is sponsored by podiumarcher.com and badlandsgear.com.
Yeah, let's get into that.
teambd is going to save you money. New partnership with Badlands. Very exciting. Just to clear it up, Pump Station will still work as a code anywhere we have a partnership. But teambd, much faster to type, easier to spell. Figured it made sense to have both options.
Yeah. So let's backtrack on that real quick. This might be, people request, they said pods could be longer. So ultimate goal of this pod is really break down our TAC experiences, kind of for people who have never gone to them and whatnot and want to think about which ones to go to, the pros, the cons, things, all those things. But we'll get into that. So break down kind of your start, because Badlands goes a little bit further back. Well, precursor it before you were even kind of like involved with them. Ted always loved Badlands.
Yeah, he did.
Teddy boy loved Badlands.
Long time.
He's worn their rain gear for forever. And that was the first time I'd ever heard about I think my most favorite part about them is their lifetime warranty. Ted has never had an issue which we go through some nasty stuff, so it's inevitable. But, if he's ever ripped a piece of gear or I think he eventually broke a portion off a backpack and,
yeah, maybe like a clip or something.
Yeah. Sent it right in. You throw a piece of tape on the section that is damaged. They'll either repair or send you a new one. 9 times out of 10, they're just sending you a new supply of whatever it was. So that's epic, because hunting equipment, let's face it, is expensive.
Yeah.
So if you don't have to go buy a new pack or a new set of rain gear for $300 or whatever, it saves you a lot of money. And so the warranty to me is the best part. The prices are also, I think, competitive. I don't think they're not the highest price hunting equipment on the market, which I am a fan of, because I think sometimes it can get too pricey just for a name, which is ridiculous. But so that's how we initially, Ted was a big fan of the stuff. And
actually, I had known about Badlands a little bit earlier because Nick Coleman ran the backpack and the bino harness way back when we started. And at the time, not only Badlands, but all the bino harnesses were really big and bulky at the time. Now everyone's gotten them smaller and more trim, which is great. But he had the backpack. He loved it. Had the bino harness. Really liked it. And then, my dad got the backpack because Nick had the backpack, and he really loved it. He still runs it, the day pack. He's had it, I don't know, 6 years.
Yeah.
And then, the rain gear as well. So to go the next step, I got the opportunity last year in December to do a whitetail hunt out in Oklahoma for Badlands Deer Camp, which was like this, basically an event where they invited, I think it was about 8 hunters maybe, and from all different places. So you had some of the Bearded Butcher guys, you had Bree, who does a cooking show, you had an older dude who was a writer, and then the guys from Deer and Deer Hunting as well, and then myself. And went on the hunt, had an absolute blast. It was ran super well. It was super fun, and I'm hoping they'll do it again because it was like one of the highlights of my year. It was just really fun. And after that, obviously that was in December. Didn't get anything done until now, July 1st, essentially. So I don't know, just kind of came back around. I always liked the gear. It was just a matter of figuring out a partnership that worked for both sides, and eventually got it to where we were both stoked, and I'm stoked. A lot of my contracts don't have a discount code. So they just are like a partnership between me and the brand, and then we promote based on that, or just I use the stuff in the videos. It's cool to me when you get a code as well, because then the actual consumer can get save money. and I am a fan of saving money.
Yes, you are.
So anyway, yeah, pretty exciting. But you also got kitted out with the gear. So you got some of the ladies' gear, you got a pack, you got some other stuff. What was your first impression?
Yeah, great. Great first impression. The lightweight pants with the overalls, phenomenal. I get to do some sizing checks just because when you order new stuff, and like with this, we don't really get to try it on beforehand to get sizing right. So there's a couple things I need to adjust. But once we get that all dialed in, a great selection. Sometimes, still, I'm gonna say it's the women's section is still more minimal compared to the men's selection and variety, but still more variety than some other brands that I have seen or looked at. And I do appreciate that because when you want to choose one set, like I prefer to have one set of camo on, like not mismatch it. And when you can't find lightweight pants and a lightweight shirt, or a full set of outerwear with the warm layers underneath, it's annoying to me as a female. And so they do have a good enough selection that you can go through and fully kit yourself out, which I think is great. So a couple little things, like I wanted to bring the Suntech hoodie over to the female side. That's an easy unisex option. Like Suntechs aren't female, male specific.
Well, and it's nice that, now you're working with them too, as an extension of the brand. And, maybe over time you can work with them to expand and improve the women's line, make it even better. Yeah, I mean, I obviously really like the backpacks a lot.
And you've been loving you've had the pants since
I really
hunt. I
love the pants. So I really like those pants. I forgot what they're called. They're the ones with the knee pads. I think they're called like the Pyre or something, if I remember right.
Pull the knee pads in and out. But the stitching on them is what makes those so cool, because you're so much less likely to rip the pants. So like it's meant for if you're crawling, it's got that stitching across the knees
and the butt.
And on the butt. So when you're sitting on rocks and glassing and you're sliding down hills.
No, those pants are like I've been able to tear those
That's durable.
The least out of any pants I've tried. So to me, that's big because I blow through pants really, really quick.
Big fan of the backpack that I got, because backpack sizing for small females is always very tricky. You're always thinking about like what's going to fit enough for long hikes where you got enough water, plus can store your jackets from the morning because you're not going back to a vehicle. You can fit a set of binos and a tripod, and but it's not going to be too small, but still has a waist belt. That's always pretty tricky. And I don't think, unless you're going on a multi-day hunt where you're not coming back to the truck, which they do have hard pack, what do you call them, like frame packs. But I don't think they're necessary to carry around. It's just more weight for no reason. You're slowing yourself down. So their day pack that I have, ATX 16? Is that what you said? Fantastic size-wise. You got to think smaller people, our clothes are smaller, our stuff is smaller. So the size of it fits all of my stuff phenomenally. Plus, it has a waist belt still built into it.
A waist belt to me I have to have. Also at TAC, I just ran the fanny pack, which I thought would be maybe too big. I was a little worried it would be too big because it's pretty large. But it really wasn't, and it was actually quite nice because I could fit my camera no problem. I could fit some other stuff. I do need to add a water bottle attachment to it. But once I have that, it'll be money for stuff like TAC. And anyway, definitely not a sales pitch, just something exciting that we're doing, and it gives y'all a chance to save some money using that code teambd at badlandsgear.com, which is really, really cool. Killer warranty, good people, great gear. So yeah, just exciting. And then, like I said, of course, podiumarcher.com, all your archery stuff if you don't have a good local pro shop to go to. So, yeah, friggin' awesome. TAC.
Let's roll into it.
So, Montana was, I'm
not talking just the TACs we've done this year. I'm talking about
all time. I get it.
Yeah.
But let me get us there. Let me get the ship to where it needs to be.
Okay.
Montana was in a way pretty brutal because we didn't get to the Airbnb until 2:57 a.m. on Saturday morning. And we woke up at 4:40 Saturday morning to go shoot. So if you do the math, max, if you went to bed as soon as you hit the bed, as soon as you woke up,
wasn't possible.
That's an hour and 40 minutes max sleep in a day.
Yeah.
So we go out, shoot first thing in the morning with our
Western
group.
tacks are not your forgiving tacks as far as your hikes go. So like,
yeah, and we were doing Sitka course, so we're right into one of the flagship courses. And I will say a couple things. First impressions. So we wake up. Obviously, it was dark when we drove there and flew there. Woke up. We had a cool little Airbnb, and the views amazing right from the Airbnb. I was like, wow, it's pretty, and it gets light really early. I know.
oh, I love it.
Really early. So we get there. We get checked in. Quickly. My mind doesn't even remember checking in hardly, but we get checked in and then we shoot up. It's me, Joey, you, Rebecca, no filmer. We're just passing the camera around, Sitka course. Now, of course, last year we did Big Sky. And I think the question you're trying to get to is ranking sort of the tacks that we've been to. Now, I have been to 10 different tack locations now. Now, about half of those don't exist anymore. So I can kind of compare some, but what I guess we'll start with is comparing the two Montana stops.
Yeah.
What did you think of this stop at Red Lodge compared to last year's stop?
Well, first I kept confusing Utah, the new Utah location, with Big Sky, but now I'm locked into Big Sky. They're in that parking lot kind of section. We looked at our hotel and you could see it off to the right.
Yes, that's the correct spot. We had the party house it became, remember?
Yeah. Pros and cons. So we'll go to Big Sky first, which now it is at Red Lodge, and don't know the reasoning for that, but whatever. So Big Sky, pro, I suppose. You could call it a pro, but it's really a fugazi because Airbnbs exist now and they're almost more affordable than the lodges. Is that you have a lodge, so you have more food options. Usually a lodge with more food options, there's a little more variety. So I don't think lodge food's ever amazing by any means. Now that restaurant that we had breakfast a couple times, me, you, and Matt went down to in Big Sky. Great.
And that breakfast was included with the room.
Correct.
Which is nice.
The cafeteria food hall kind of section of the lodge.
Yeah.
It's your typical, ski resort food. Kind of like going to an airport where you got the cafeteria section where you can get to-go food or snacks, and then you'll have your couple little burger, sub joints, whatever. So if you're going with say your family's coming or whatnot and they want things to do, Big Sky did allow for that. I think they even had a rock climbing area or something. I can't remember. There was some stuff for kids there. So it offers more options, I guess you could say. But so do towns. And I think that's the part that is missed when it comes to tax is you focus on the tack. You want to get as much out of it as possible. You want to talk to all the vendors. You want to see the things. If you don't go to hunt expos, try them out. You want to do as many courses as possible. It's great. But really, if you're going to be burnt out by the end, just be burnt out by the end. Go out into the towns when you're at tax. Because the one thing, con to Big Sky versus pro to Red Lodge, the town. We didn't really get to experience it just because of how tight our schedule fly in, fly out was. But they do not do fast food restaurants in Red Lodge. The town doesn't have any other than a Subway. They're all local restaurants and
there
bars.
was a lot of them, too, I noticed when we were driving around. Whereas in Big Sky,
You're up the mountain.
There was only one place. Remember that? We did go to it, and it was good and fun.
Yeah,
I love the place.
But you got one.
Only one. There's more, a little bit more, like you said, on the mountain, but in the town, none. So I think had we have gotten, number one, had a little more energy, and number two, had a little bit more time to hit the town, I'm sure it would have been fun. Food probably would have been better than on the resort. So I really liked both, actually, and now that I've kind of have remembered Big Sky more. But I think if I had to pick, I mean, both are, you're in Montana, so both of them are gorgeous, like gorgeous settings. But Red Lodge was like the prettiest terrain I've ever seen in some of those views.
Oh my goodness, the like jagged, like cool rock croppings, and how I feel like I'd have to look it up, but I feel like we were even higher. Or it's just because there's less mountains around the mountain we were on, because you could just see to the ends of Earth up
Literally,
there.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was, and then just the mountain itself is extremely pretty with those rock outcroppings, and they incorporate the courses into them and whatnot. So I would put Red Lodge over Big Sky any day, I think, of the week.
What I will throw into the mix is, to me, both of the stops, both the Montana stops felt pretty small and intimate as far as the people at them. They felt like pretty low key, really, for the event. Like, it wasn't as packed, at least from my perception, as like, you know, Pennsylvania, obviously. But like, I think that's kind of nice if you want something a little more mellow, a little more shooting focused, but still a good amount of networking or just mingling. You know, there was a good amount of vendors. I thought they did a good job with the vendor area. It was actually quite similar to Big Sky's, really kind of a loop, but it was fun. I really liked it. And since we talked about the importance of the town, that's what puts Oklahoma so high for me. Oklahoma, I just think
before
really
we move
nailed
to
the
Oklahoma,
town.
I really want to.
Oh, geez, Lapete.
There's lots of areas, niches to discuss per tack. What I want people to get out of this is like to be able to, if you've never experienced any of them or only select ones, is, you know, kind of make decisions on what it is you're looking to get out of it. So like, you know, there's your lodge versus no lodge kind of thing, Airbnb versus, you know, resort style. But the other subject is, and we kind of mentioned the vendor area, a little more intimate, but still a good amount. Like, I remember being up there on that lift and counting the rows. I think there was a good amount of vendors for a more intimate tack size. And I think that's always great, because that is something, if you don't go to the hunt expos and things like that, that's your chance to get to look at products, put your hands on things that maybe aren't in your local shops or your Bass Pro or, you know, whatever. That's your only chance to actually get to see it in person before you commit to a purchase.
Do you see this ridiculous dog?
I do, yeah. Well, he's toasty.
It's hot.
Do we need to... Oh, no, we can't shut that door.
No, but yes,
So
I
one,
agree.
I think
Love
that's
vendors.
great. Yeah.
Yes.
Two, well, before we leave vendors, I'm going to put some secret sauce tips in there that I just learned about, you know. So, and maybe lots of people know this. I feel like it's more on like the East people know it, because I've heard multiple people mention it, but I never knew it until Brittany told me. Lots of products. Don't be afraid to ask them if you can try it out on the course. For example, SIG stabilization binoculars. If you just go up there, usually you can have them hold on to your binoculars and you fill out a form, and usually like you'll give them your ID or something. And you can bring the binos out onto the course. So if there's a product you're interested in trying, boots too. So I think it's Danner Lacrosse. If you just go over there, you give them your ID, they'll give you a set of boots to try out on the course.
That's really cool.
So secret tip there, you know, if there's something you want to try, or maybe you forgot your boots or you blew them out, or you're doing a Western tack and you don't have really grippy boots because it's not what your terrain is like. You can go to those. Those are just two that I know of, but I'm sure you can ask more of them. And you can essentially rent things for free for the day to bring out onto the course. So fun secret tip there when it comes to tax. But let's jump into terrain real quick. Obviously, we talked scenery. It's beautiful. But if we were ranking terrain for a shoot experience, talk about the terrain a little bit. Because Westerns are very different from the Eastern tax or even Midwest tax or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, I mean, obviously it's big terrain, you know, but I didn't feel like it was overly steep with the way they built them, the courses. I will say that of the 4 tacks I've done this year, and I don't even know how many courses, that Sitka course was probably the best one I've shot all year.
Yeah,
as far as
and normally the flagship ones are.
Well, it was just like the terrain they had was awesome, and everything. But yeah, I really liked it. Huge country, lot of pines. There was deer everywhere. We saw, I don't even know.
Yeah, to make sure not to shoot the deer.
Yeah, make sure. We had one walk right behind a target, which I got on film. It was pretty fun. So a guy I met had seen a bear cub.
Yeah,
we didn't get to see that, but I mean, as far as like wildlife goes, we did see deer in Oklahoma as well. We saw whitetails, whereas we saw muleys in Montana. I don't think we saw anything in Tennessee, and in Pennsylvania we did see some whitetails as well.
Yeah.
So I always think that's cool when you get to see a little bit of wildlife. But yeah, I mean, terrain-wise, obviously Montana's going to be cooler and bigger and broader terrain than Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. It just is what it is. But of course you would assume that. That being said, if I were to rank the other ones we went to, Tennessee's very hard for me to rank because it was hard to get a read on with how wet it was.
Yeah, if it were just a little bit of rain, it would have been a little easier.
I would almost say the terrain, if I were to rank it on like slope and difficulty, I almost think had it not have been rainy and I got more time to like be outside, I think that I would go last would probably be Oklahoma. Third would probably be Pennsylvania. Second would probably be Tennessee. And first would be Montana of the 4 from this year.
Yeah.
Terrain-wise.
Yeah, because Tennessee's...
there were some good hills and stuff. It was just so slippery.
I think underrated, flies under the radar as far as its terrain.
I like the venue, too. I actually liked the venue a lot. Like, I think had that one not have been so blown out weather-wise, I think it would have been a lot better, but the weather was just ass, you know, unfortunately.
Yeah, it literally made courses unshootable because of safety, the amount of mud and how steep some of the sections are, and there's a lot of up and downs in those Tennessee courses. Like, I would have loved to get to that one at the end of, I think it was the Sitka course that has like the rope that you climb up. I say that, but then I had to do that here in Montana. I was like, oh, this is hard. You're literally like rappelling on a rope down with your bow. But yeah, so I wish that one had been a little less rainy so we could have judged it more. But as far as terrain goes, like if you've never experienced any of the Western ones, Montana is, if you want a little more intimate setting, something your family could go do or a town to go hang out in at night. If they keep it at Red Lodge, it's definitely one for people to keep on their radar, just because of all of the
I'm doing BTS content.
The, added value to everything around, and experiencing a Western mountain ski resort, tack. But then I guess we could roll into one that's similar in intimacy size, but different in terrain, is Oklahoma, which we are calling our favorite of the year.
Yeah, I really liked it a lot. I think that there's many reasons why, but I would say the main thing is, one, the weather was really good. You could say the same about Montana. It makes a big difference when the weather's really good. Weather was great. Number 2, it was a very unrushed trip. You know what I mean? Like, whereas like Montana was super crammed, super tight. This was not that. And that's nice. We had a day on the front, day on the back, kind of chill. That's very nice. Makes a big difference on the experience. 3, the Airbnbs out there and the price at which you can get them.
Yeah.
Top tier, top shelf, right? Huge bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, town, excellent. Tons of little water holes, tons of restaurants, even other activities if you want to take the old ball and chain on a date.
Mm-hmm. Or if the kids are coming and like they get tired after one course the next day, like there's a huge petting zoo out there with all sorts of strange animals at it. A lot to do.
A lot to do. And then the venue itself, sure, not the steepest or gnarliest or whatever, but the being right on the lake, awesome. Amazing vibe. The vendor area, great. I love how it's in a circle. I thought that was really neat. Just everything about I love how you take the boat over to the one course.
And that makes that course pretty cool and challenging because if you, even if you get out there in the morning, by the time you get around to like the windward side,
oh yeah,
it makes those shots on the water's edge very challenging.
Definitely.
So, and then they did a lot with, other than outside of the Sitka Island course, everything else is really in the woods, like in the wooded areas. Literally everything is. And they do very well. TAC for being known for their hard window shots and whatnot, and they made the most out of those. So I thought the courses were nothing to balk at as far as like being easy. They still made technical, challenging shots out of the courses. Of course. And
it was awesome. And not only were the restaurant options and bar options in the town really good, but the food options at the shoot were good because there was food trucks. There was like 2 to 3 food trucks. One of them I think was even selling beers. Like, you know what I mean? Like. They just did a really good job of having a well-rounded event at Oklahoma. And I can't guarantee it because I do want to continue to hit new stops and meet people in different pockets of the country. But if there was one I was going to go to next year, it'd probably be that one.
It's such a sleeper tap.
I'm kicking the tires on doing Vermont, and because Chuck would love it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So... Kicking the tires and doing Vermont, and then one of the ones in Michigan, I was told was a banger, and then maybe Oklahoma, and then maybe Utah if there's time, like for her to do a 4th return to Utah, because I do love Utah, and I think we need to touch on that. We got to get to Utah.
We're going to get to Utah, yeah.
Am I jumping too far ahead, or should I kind of talk about Utah?
No, well, we'll round out Oklahoma, which I think we encompassed all those. We encompassed terrain. The venue itself, I do think, hit on it one more time. The fact that a lot of the ones at ski resorts and whatnot have contracts that they can't have food vendors because they want people to come purchase food at the resorts. But the fact that you could get a quick bite to eat in between doing a morning course and an afternoon course, and those food vendors were phenomenal, it's everything to me, because once you get out there hangry, you're upset. And so not too many of the TACs do have food vendors at them. Also, Preet Bearded Butchers, who's been at a lot more TACs, who's been serving cuts of meat, which I love. It's like a little snack along the way.
Those guys are awesome, by the way.
But so that was just another sleeper thing. And they had a local coffee company that had decided to do a booth, so they were doing hot coffee that you could just come up anytime and get a quick to-go cup. So it's just the little things like that that make a TAC even more enjoyable. Plus the tiki bus.
Oh, come on, baby.
I
love the tiki bus.
Yes, they're
and
parking.
The tiki boat. I love boats.
Yeah, the parking, you're just parking along the road, so it goes a long ways, but they shuttle you. And, don't make the mistake of getting on a regular bus. Wait and find the tiki bus at least once, because it is a vibe. It is a vibe. But yeah, that's Oklahoma, I guess, in a nutshell. It's a sleeper TAC. It's one that I think is going to continue to grow because people are hearing more and more about it.
Well, and I had people tell me before that it was like the best one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cade, for example, had told me that. A couple of other people had told me that. So I had pretty high expectations. I definitely
think it met him.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree.
I can't think of a con to the Oklahoma tack.
I mean, if you wanted to nitpick, you could say that, the terrain is mild.
Yeah, I suppose so.
That's like the only thing you could
But
say.
I think
even
they
then,
make the most out of it.
I don't really, so I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Utah, shoot, man, where to start? Oh, so I've been to, I want to say 5 different locations in Utah of their shoot. So I've been to
5.
Snowbird, Snow Basin, Park City, Solitude. I think there might even be one it's either 4 or 5. Maybe it's only 4. So I've been to a bunch in Utah, and I really, really like Solitude a lot. I know a lot of people say Park City's their favorite, but I really like Solitude a lot.
Why?
I do like it a lot. Let me tell you.
Why?
I'm going to tell you why.
If you say the pool and the slide, I'm out.
I love the vibe at the pool and the slide and the hot tub.
Oh my God.
And well, hold on. Let me continue. I also love how close the condos are to the vendor area and the lift, right? I love it. Everything's tight about it. You could just walk home, drop your bow, switch into your flip-flops. 2 minutes later, you're back in the vendors. I love that. Now, if I wasn't able to stay in the condos at the event, I don't know that I would be in on it. But because of how sick that spot is, I'm definitely in. I would actually say it's one of my favorite joints because of that.
Really? I think that's a hot take compared to everybody else's opinion.
I like that the mountain has 2 different sides. And they're both different, yes.
See, again, that's a con to me. That's like,
Am I kind of dropping bars right now?
Your hot takes are what you're dropping. So
I
view the 2 sides as a con, not a pro. I think it eats a lot of time when you're trying to make the most out of your trip to have to wait for the bus ride down, or you had to take the lift down to the bottom, then catch the bus to go somewhere else, then the bus back to the lift back. It eats a lot of time out of your trip that you're trying to make the most out of. So I view that as a con. Secondly, I guess, sure, if you love the pool and the slide, it's a vibe, but outside of that, there wasn't much else to do at that resort. Like, you had like one pizza joint that closes super early, and then one very expensive fancy restaurant.
There was also that place called like the Funky Monkey or something. Remember that place?
The bar?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a bar though.
But yeah, I do agree it's quite lacking there. I agree
and then
with that.
the vendor area, this is just a nuance, I guess, to me, but like I felt like it was so spread out because it's in just this giant field essentially at the base of the mountain. So like you go out and it's just feels so open that it feels empty, even though it's one of the biggest tacks. So I don't know. I preferred Park City over.
Park City is great. I mean, I'm not over here holding the gun to Park City. Like, I love Park City.
Yeah.
And if it went back, I'd be pumped on it. Definitely. I really like Park City a lot. I think that I like how you would take the little lift up. There's all the vendors right there in that first spot. There was that whole circle area with like the stage, the water hole. There's another restaurant off to the left. There was like cornhole out there. Then all the vendors.
And they even had like indoor, outdoor vendors because there's that little like circular building that you could go in that they had vendors inside there as well.
No, I think you're underrating some parts of Solitude though. Do you not remember when you would shoot the other side, so the side like not over by the vendors? When you would finish, there was that restaurant with actually pretty good food, and they always had like a live band, and it was pretty lit. Like you'd have bikers there, hikers there, play cornhole, like throw bags. It had that barbecue truck right next to it. You don't remember this?
I do. The place we stopped to get some lollipops like twice.
No, that's even a higher one. There's like 3 of them. Then there's the one down lower. Come on, tell me that.
Yeah, the one even lower. Yeah.
Tell me that place didn't slap. I think you're forgetting about some of these joints. I found like a salesman for Solitude, but I'm telling you.
Yeah, I guess.
That place slapped.
But again, like, say you wanted to go experience that afterwards, like, the lift shuts off, so you're either walking all the way down there or you're driving down there. I don't know. I want the locality of it all to be more dense. And you just don't get that at Solitude. So I am not the biggest fan of Solitude, I suppose.
That's interesting. See, I wish I was going this year, but obviously not going to be going. But I do like it. I think the terrain for shooting's really good. There's a lot of courses. Vendors are plentiful. You know what else I realized too is that when you go to a lot of TAC, so I've been going since 2019. I think I did 3 stops last year, maybe 4. I can't remember. This year I did 4. The year before, probably a couple.
Billy says we need to add a 5th.
No, I'm not doing that. You get a little, you get like, I got to put myself in the shoes of a first-time goer, like I was in 2019, right? You kind of like don't, I think, maybe appreciate how cool it is to have all the vendors actually there. You know what I mean? Because you see everybody all the time. So it's like this routine thing of just chit-chatting. But if you're only going once a year or for your first time ever, I think the vendors are a really big part of it. Right?
Yeah, well, that's why I like doing this, because you got to decide what it is you're wanting the most out of, or kind of like rank them yourselves if you're a first timer, or like you're going to one new one for the year, or adding a new one to your stop, or you want to experience something different than your local terrain and environment. That's why I think listening to something like this is good, because, for example, things like Oklahoma, Montana, your vendor, though I think the selection of them was great quality and there was a sufficient amount, it didn't feel lacking. If you're looking for that like mix of Hunt Expo with shooting, your choices are going to be Utah or Pennsylvania, because they're just massive in their selection of vendors. Solitude's vendor village, though I don't like that it's in the giant open field, it's huge. I mean, there was just a boatload of vendors to go look at. And so I think that's really cool. Same with Pennsylvania, just an enormous amount of vendors. So it just depends on what it is you're fully looking to get out of. You have one priority completely over another, or if you are trying to mix, like, you know, I want a decent amount of vendors, but I also want epic shooting. Like, you know, weigh what it is you want out of it. And so Utah, your vendors, like, if that's your chance to experience new products, feel them, try them, touch them, you know, use them, rent them, you want to go to one of the bigger ones where you have more things to be able to see. But yeah, I mean, Solitude, regardless of the resort itself that I'm not a giant fan of, again, just mountainous terrain, still phenomenal. Those, I'm trying to even really remember. I just know that it's on a mountain and it's more mountainous than, you know, something like Oklahoma. But if you don't really get to experience that, where you literally need to take a ski lift up to, was Solitude the new one that we rode up? No, that was Big Sky last year, where we didn't put the little thing down and we froze. That was Montana, right? It was Montana.
Was it?
I think so.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I don't remember.
Well, we're back. We are
back.
We had a bathroom break. We had a SD card problem. You had an email. You had all kinds of things.
Yeah.
With that being said, let's go ahead and get to the email. Let me touch on it. So You've been trying to drum up a a bit of business, kind of helping people with social media and some AdSense type stuff, Facebook ads, stuff like that. And you just got an inquiry. So super exciting. If anyone else would like to inquire for Brianna's help in kind of brand management, you could go ahead and email bowdisciples@gmail.com and get in touch about that. But we were talking about, I don't even remember.
We're still discussing tax. So we have covered Montana. We have covered Utah. We have covered Oklahoma. Another one that we did this year was Pennsylvania, which was new for us. So pros, cons, things like that. We'll jump into terrain very quickly. It is at a ski lodge. Nice ski lodge. As far as like, there's a pizza place, a coffee place, which I loved. There's some restaurants inside. Downside to the resort itself, the hotel rooms or condos, I'm not sure how they run their lodge, if they're purchased like owned condos or if they are hotel rooms. But compared to other ski lodges we have gone to, they did not have rooms big enough to supply larger parties. So we were kind of out on staying right there at the lodge. So similar to Park City, Utah's, where we stayed in the townhouse down below and then go up to the resort. It was like that. We stayed at the townhomes that were located on the mountain as part of the resort. And then it was a very quick 5-minute drive down to the venue. So, con if you want to be right there and not have to drive, if you're with a big group of people, unless you're renting multiple rooms. I will say that Pennsylvania, out of all the ones I've been to, as far as lodging goes, one of the most expensive. Both the townhomes, both the Airbnbs, both the lodging at the resort itself, pretty pricey for the size of them. So I would suggest an Airbnb where you have to drive maybe 15 minutes and you're splitting it with a bunch of people. Just takes away from staying super localized. He looks like he is just avoiding you at all costs.
No, he's just tired. He's such a tired little bear. Look. See this?
Yes.
We're just tired, loving, humble poppers.
But terrain, it was a ski lodge. So tell me your thoughts, being a West Coaster used to mountains and tacks that have mountains, what you thought of this ski lodge tack on the East Coast.
I enjoyed
this. Is ridiculous, by the way.
He's just cuddling me. I really enjoyed Pennsylvania a lot. Number one, I like the scale of it, and I love mingling. So that was fun. I'm
talking terrain of the courses.
I'm almost drawing a blank on what the vendor village was even like.
Let's talk terrain of the courses first.
I thought terrain was good. I mean, especially when we shot Prime the last day. I thought it was plenty steep. I mean, there was some really steep sections and some good wooded sections. It was a long hike. It was certainly not small terrain. It wasn't Montana, I wouldn't say, but certainly still, mountainous. Yeah. And lots of timber, lots of trees.
That's why I think it's one that, though I love the scenic views and the mountain rocky outcroppings that they can play with and whatnot with ones like Montana, I think if you're looking for the best of both worlds, Pennsylvania's kind of it, where you have just an enormous vendor area. Like over 350 plus vendors, but also want that mountainous, more challenging hikes and courses. Pennsylvania would be your way to go. The con to me is the expense of doing that one. I felt it was a little pricey. Not talking tack prices don't change, but the area you're staying in is a little bit much. And then I'm trying to think of like there really is no like going out into a little town. Like you're up again on ski resort.
Really.
So grocery shopping, make sure you stop because the nearest one, like a full grocery store, was like 30 minutes away. So stop before you come in. And then another con we hadn't even talked about was like flying, which a lot of people are to these. Unless you drive, you're 2 hours away. There is a more expensive area in Billings Airport that's smaller to go to Montana's Red Lodge, but otherwise you're driving 2.5 hours. It was a 2-hour drive from Pittsburgh, or from a little bit longer, I think, from the one in Philly. No, what's the other airport further south that we want to fly into next year if we do it?
For Pennsylvania?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's Philadelphia, but that's not south. I think it's like east.
Maybe, yeah. But whatever. It's like 2+ hour drive for that one. Oklahoma, also a drive, be flying to Texas.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. That's the nice part about Bow Disciples Challenge, too, is that if people come to it, it's only about an hour from the San Diego airport. So people can fly in, rent a car, pop over to the challenge, which...
Now, Utah's not bad, though, because if you fly into Salt Lake,
yeah, it's not
you're a quick drive, less than an hour, I think.
Yeah. I will say, too, I was very surprised. This year, I heard a lot of people say, like, they thought about coming to BD Challenge or are planning to come next year.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people were telling me that. So I think that, year 4 might be pretty substantial just because of the amount of inquiries I'm already getting.
Yeah.
And it's just a special event, Yeah. It's a special event.
It's much more, you could again use the word intimate as far as like not the size of tack, but like the vibe of being in like the campground, and you just walk right over and jump on a course, and you have all day to do it. You could do courses multiple times. Jack's show in the evening, the vibe at the little practice range, and shooting against you and others and whatnot. It's a different type of experience, similar in a way to tack, and definitely courses, not as long as in mileage because we don't have that amount of acres to work with, but still Southern California offers challenging terrain, especially at Bear State. So it's like you get this mini version of still equally as challenging courses, and you are phenomenal at choosing targets and windows that create challenging shots. So like your courses are just as exciting, but then the vibe of being able to go back and forth to camp and hang out and just like pop from campsite to campsite and visit people and whatnot, it's just a different type of experience. So I think it will be pretty big next year, but still just as fun.
I just realized that it's 12:23 p.m. right now, and I'm a nasty hungry boy.
Well, let's round out some of these tacks here. So anything else you'd like to say about Penn? I think it's topped the largest tack now. I think it used to compete and go back and forth with Utah. I think it is the largest tack now.
I mean, I think Penn is great. I definitely would consider going again. There's not too many I would like not go to again. Like I can't say I've been to one that I'm like I wouldn't go to that again. Maybe 1 or 2 of the ones in Utah, but those aren't around anymore. So of the ones that are still around, like I for sure would go to San Antonio again. To me, that's a top tier one.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Oklahoma. I would definitely go to Solitude again. I would go to Red Lodge again. I would probably not have gone to Big Sky again. So that's a bit of an improvement, I would say. Overall, Tennessee, I would go again, especially if the weather was nice. Definitely Pennsylvania for sure. So yeah, I mean, I don't think any of them are poor. I think they're all really good. all sort of different. I think ultimately it comes down to what's closest to where people live, because most people probably don't travel as far to these as we do.
Yeah. What I'm hoping people get out of it, though, is if they start venturing out a little further than their closer state tax, that they have some information to be able to choose what would be most appealing to them when you're making such a big commitment as far as cost goes, travel goes, time off work goes, that you're getting the right tack for you when you're dropping that much money and time off and whatnot. Now, well, I guess the last one we could talk about that we've, at least did we do it last year or you did it last year, San Antonio? Is San Antonio. And that one used to be one of your, if not still is, top choices for a tack. Again, goes into the fact that it is at a cool location. So again, if you're bringing family and you want to make this a trip, it's at this cave.
Natural Bridge Cavern. Which is awesome. And
is also right next to the zoo.
Like one of those drive zoos, I think.
I don't know if it's a drive one or not.
But either way, I really like that. Now
they have like a little mini roller coaster for kids, like it's like a little tiny theme park for kids.
Oh, I love it.
Usually that's the one that they have an actual, not just like Leopold, but the actual kids course. We got kicked off one year.
They all have that Future Champions.
Do they?
Well, they're just like hidden sometimes.
Oh.
I love Future Champions. We did get kicked off.
We did, yeah. We were kind of
I was trying to promote it.
Being a little loud.
No, I was trying to promote it to let people know there was a kids course there.
Yeah.
I don't remember if the video came out. I
don't think it did because we never finished it.
What I should do is go find that footy.
Yeah.
But I bet they'd let me do it now. But It would be a good way to promote it.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who I bumped into also? This is kind of random side note. But in Red Lodge, I bumped into her twice. The lady that does the headset teaching kids on recurves.
No way.
Balboa. She was there. And
at Red Lodge?
Yes. And I said, hey.
Crazy.
I said, I've been waiting for you to hit me up. And she said, well, my classes are just getting started. I said, well, I'm serious, so you better hit me up, Buster.
Oh, nice.
But she was there I think she was shooting by herself.
Like her compound?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, so...
I can't wait to do those videos.
San Antonio's venue.
Oh, I can't wait.
I know.
Can you imagine?
San Antonio's venue.
Can I wear like a fun hat or something?
Sure.
Okay.
Great.
Yes, phenomenal. You are a bit far from shit. A little bit far from stuff.
A little bit if you want to go into a city. But that's the thing. You can drive in and you're in San Antonio. So, like, a massive ton of stuff to do if you wanted to, pair a vacation. I highly recommend it after we tried to do it. Pair it on the front end before you participate in tack on the back end. Don't put it on the back end. You're too tired. But you could vacation beforehand in San Antonio, or the family can go out during the day while you're out shooting. Lots of options because you're in a city. But the terrain in San Antonio will surprise you, because a lot of times you think Texas, you think flat. They're in like this like cliff band section. It's probably the only semi-cliffy version area of Texas. So they work in some stuff in there that makes it very fun.
Definitely.
It is a little more humid, and you'll get some mosquito action because it's Texas. But the terrain, not boring at all. I think it's a little more exciting even than Oklahoma, for both of them being like smaller tacks. But the terrain it's fun. It's exciting there. So that is also, I think, a sleeper tack. And not a far drive as far as your fly-in. Finding somewhere to stay is probably not hard at all because you're in San Antonio. So, I mean, tons, I'm sure, of Airbnbs. We always had a hookup because of Whitney, but I'm sure if you were renting a place, not hard to find one. So San Antonio, I think, is a great one if someone wanted to. Vendor Village, a little small. I think it's the smallest of any of the ones I've seen. It's smaller than Oklahoma's. It's been smaller than Montana's. It's smaller. So if you're looking for the vendor...
I don't know that I agree with that.
No?
I've been 4 times.
maybe I'm misremembering it, but I thought it was. It's kind of like after you pass the like amusement stuff and cross the bridge, it's just like that little bit right there
Yeah, like all out to the left.
to the right.
No, it's to the left and the right a little bit. But anyway, yeah, great stop. Check it out. It's been cool to... I like the vendor area. I always love seeing the marsupial boys. They go to a lot of them. Ryan, a legend, big fan. Gas Bowstring's been at like all of them, which is really cool. And I think they sell strings and work 'em bows right there at the thing.
I utilize that.
Cool. Bowtech been at all of them, I think. So it's cool. Cool seeing the partners and then just friends with brands that aren't, we don't even really work with, like Ultraview, and seeing Billy out there is really cool. And I mean, that's the nice part about going to multiple stops. Voice just cracked a little. Is you could actually kind of make some friendships and relationships and vibes, which I like. So,
You love vibes.
yeah, all in all, great times. I'm very hungry. I'm going to get some food. I appreciate you doing the podcast.
Yeah.
We'll do more in the future. And subscribe to the podcast YouTube channel. 5 stars on Apple, Spotify. That really helps us out a lot. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next podcast.
Yes.
Thank you very much.